So we need the airport because it is where the action happens in the story. And we're constantly kind of jumping back and forth from, you know, the past and the present, but it's the present time of the story where Evie and Frankie have been together, and Evie finds out that Frankie's going to be sent away. So she kind of creates this plan, and it happens at the airport. This is a couple times I visited Valdosta by now, and we already agreed that that was going to end up having to be the location, just due to kind of still dealing with certain things in relation to just COVID and mask mandates and stuff like that. The upside, which is what a location should do for you, is that when you are there, you remember why you chose it. It may not fit the story in the way that I want in regards to, I see a sort of vaster location, and this one is very, very small, but it just works for what we need so well that it's just kind of like, can't argue with it. And then the interior of the airport is going to be sort of redesigned in a way. We're going to be kind of turning the car rental counter into a airline ticket counter, and that's where that interaction will be happening. But at the end of the day, we do have to worry about cars and travelers, and you know, with any sort of live business in a way, you want to make sure that you're not in the way. If we're laying cable or anything like that, we just want to just be out of the way, but also safely. Overall, it was great. We were able to kind of finalize exactly where we'll be, and that's the most important thing, because when we go back there in a couple of days, it's important to have everything finalized so that we are confident with what we're telling the crew. In the story, the restaurant comes after the sort of heist has become successful. They celebrate at a restaurant, but when they arrive, Evie manages to get Frankie alone to kind of address the tension. It's essentially like the end of the film, more or less, the last couple of scenes. Just finding the restaurant has been interesting. I mean, I know we've already discussed how it's a true story. So this really happened at a Taco Bell parking lot. And I mean, that was the goal. Of course, we didn't necessarily think we could get Taco Bell specifically. The locations of fast food restaurants, you know, are in very busy areas. So even if they said yes, it would have been very sort of inconvenient for production, very loud, hard to hear. Fast food places are meant for people to just come in and out quickly, not be there for 13 hours. And then lucky enough, I remembered a restaurant called Henderson's in Thomasville. So, you know, I met with the owner, Mr. Henderson himself, and I mean, he was very generous, and he said yes. The reason as to why we continued to look for another restaurant, even though we had our paperwork signed and they were very generous, was just due to the fact that it adds another out-of-town location. So we're like, there's got to be a restaurant in the area in Tallahassee that can somehow work for us. So we went to a Pizza Hut that was an abandoned, it's like a lot of release or for sale right now. That was great because in the script it is pizza. So I was like, this should work out. But unfortunately, it was completely just ripped apart. Like they already emptied it out. No chairs, not a single booth left, just hanging there. So immediately it was a no. So actually I had went to Ava, you know, and I told her, you know, I think we just have to accept that it's going to be Henderson's, it's going to be in Thomasville, and it's unfortunate, but at the end of the day, it's just what we have to do. But, you know, I felt like it was also just the right thing and fair to just give it a little bit of more thought, like actual my attention. So since we were already together, I just kind of went down a sort of quick Google search of just pizza restaurants, and I was like, what are the chances that one is going to be closed on Monday? Because that's specifically what we need. So I ended up going to Ricardo's. So, you know, I'm just kind of looking around, taking photos. I am concerned because it's very, very loud. I mean, it was obnoxious. And, but it looked great on the outside and had ample parking in certain areas, even though it was the parking lot was packed. So then I start to look at the other nearby businesses, because this restaurant is actually in the sort of like 2-story building with just a lot of other businesses around. And then I noticed that they're all kind of closed on Monday. And I was like, all right, is this a gem that I don't know about? You know, as I'm peeking through, the owner of the restaurant kind of comes out, and then he, you know, very generous, let us in, kind of told us about his sort of personal connection with the film school. But at the end of the day, so it's either going to be Ricardo's, which works with theme and helps our production designer a lot, Cormac. Otherwise, I mean, we still have Henderson's, which will be a great option as well. I've been just using this time now before we get into our last final days before production to just, I've been starting to think about shots. So I've just been having that conversation a lot with myself. What is it that I actually want to see frame by frame? It's kind of like a domino effect, you know, with things that once you kind of tell yourself to stop being scared or like, I won't have any ideas. Once you just have one, then it starts to, you know, kind of fall and you kind of have too many ideas. So that's kind of what I've been doing. And we also have production meetings where we go over the script and they're able to ask any sort of questions. And I'm going to be having a few more rehearsals. I was able to find an intimacy coordinator. We also have a final meeting with the faculty. It's the opportunity for them to be a bit hard on us, which I really appreciate because filmmaking is hard. So they kind of ensure that we've thought of everything, but then otherwise they split us out and we start shooting. And then the last thing, actually, I think we plan to do a camera test and a sound test of the scene inside the car, just to kind of see what's the best way to capture those shots. We also want to test just where can we place microphones and be as prepared as possible. But yeah,